Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Alex. Let's talk Wardogs. For those of you that managed to get your hands on a copy of the game this weekend, you already know what I'm about to say. The playtest blew my expectations out of the water. Simply put, it was brilliant. The way the guns feel, the economy, 3 teams on the field at once, and vehicles. I mean, I keep going, but I won't. And real credit to the team at BULKHEAD, not just for the game, but for the way they ran the whole weekend. Especially when we're comparing it to a certain big budget FPS that also had a basic weekend, and on paper should have delivered a bit more. But let's get into it. This is what you came for. Let's talk about Wardogs. Firstly, the guns, the weapons. They are the very core of every shooter you will ever play, and if they're not, don't play it. The gunplay in Wardogs feels good, leading towards great. I would need a bit more time to tinker with the builds and have a real thought out discussion with you guys, but certainly we can tell it's good shooting. It seems to be based around recoil patterns similar to Rust CS, but I'm not sure yet. I wasn't paying too much attention around that, but yeah, that's kind of the gist or the feel I got from it all. For me, I also felt that there were clearly better weapons and shittier weapons. My favorite for the weekend was definitely the MP7, I think it's called the AMP9. It's kind of busted, potentially earning a nerf when the game comes out. I mean, I was full autoing guys 90 meters away like it was nothing. There were quite a few comments about the gun itself, but obviously not while I was using it. Then there was the first sniper, which in my eyes was worthless. I even skipped out on using it. Instead I opted to go with binoculars, run around the map, scanning and spotting enemies to earn XP. That way I would earn enough and I could go straight to the SKS. I didn't want to use it, and you know what, I tried, didn't work out for me. But that leads me on to the next point in finding a gun that you can trust, that you enjoy using. Because kills are important. Defending yourself is important in this game, because what you take out is going to cost you, and if you lose it immediately off the rip, you have just blown through 10-20k, depends how much your kit cost. For example, going back to that first clip I played in the beginning of the video,
What a banger.
that was 10k. Okay, it wasn't 10k there, it was pretty cheap, it was that first sniper, but it could have been way worse, right? And that had nothing to do with me. So you need to be mindful of what you're taking in each deployment to ensure that when you inevitably have to respawn, you can afford a new kit, so you can still compete throughout the rest of the game and hopefully secure the win, unless you're on blue team, right? And when you're putting that kit together, you really need to take into consideration what's happening with your team out in the hot zone. What's their current position? How's your fob doing? How they're faring in the firefights? Are we simply outgunned? These kind of little nuances, insights that you have from your previous life, you can use to build up a new kit and hopefully have more of an impact in the new life than you did in the previous one. That way your team should ideally come out better for it, but that's up to you and how you decide to play it. So mentioning your team's current position leads me to another topic: playing with people. One thing this game truly nailed was the importance of team play. So many games these days are team-based, and so many of these games go down the chute if you don't play with people that want to play with the team. More often than not, it's a group of solo players that can only shoot half the lobby while the other half are simply in the way. In Wardogs, you simply can't do that if you want to have a good game, with the odd exception here and there. Coordinating with your team to secure an objective is what this game is all about. For a basic example, if you go down alone, you'll die alone. But if you go down around your mates, there's a good chance that you will get picked up by one of them, so you can get your ass back in the fight. And let me tell you this: when you are up against 2/3 of the lobby, death is almost guaranteed. Right, all this talk about team play, and I haven't touched on how the actual objective works, right? So in Wardogs, it is pretty much just a new take on the King of the Hill mode that we've all played before in our past, right? Wardogs adds an additional team, so there are now 3 teams up against each other, fighting for dominance within a zone. There is a smaller floating zone that goes around the map, and when people are inside, they essentially count as another person, so you're no longer just one, you're 2 points towards the objective. And a lot of the fighting follows that little small sector, so the dominating team can obtain more points. And that's kind of simply it, right? We all know it. I won't go on too much about how King of the Hill works. There's a hill, you want to be king. Plain and simple. But enough of that. Let's move on to my final note. The overall performance of the game. And please note, this game is in beta, so this will most certainly change when early access releases in a few weeks. I'm playing on an i9 10850K with an RTX 3080, and I was pleasantly surprised at the frames I was getting. I messed with the settings quite a lot towards the end, and people that know me know that I can do this all the time. I started off with medium settings and didn't change a thing until, you know, maybe 10-12 hours in of playing. Then from there, made a few tweaks here and there, and was even more chuffed. You know, there wasn't a need to do it. I just wanted to explore the settings to see if I could, you know, squeeze out a bit more here and there. I mean, for a map of the scale and the amount of stuff just going on, my FPS was often in a spot that I was happy with. There were a few locations that I knew would drag them down, specifically the towers for some reason. Being around them caused quite a few drops, but that wasn't too often. There were areas where I could be in a tower and it would be fine. I don't know. I just chalked it up to, you know, beta weekend. That was one of the things I faced, you know. And that's saying something, you know. Just being able to say I didn't have to worry about frames is impressive. I mean, there are games, I've mentioned one previously, coming out where it's a AAA studio. Performance should be there. The game should be polished enough where we'll be blowing these types of games out the water. But no. So, I take my hat off to BULKHEAD Studios for the game they put together, and appreciate the opportunity to be able to take part in the weekend. And I'm seriously looking forward to the full release of the game and taking part in the early access until that happens. Let me know what you guys thought about the game, the weekend, and what kind of things you hope to see in the future. But yeah, that's me. I'm Lex signing out. Take care and have a good rest of the day.